Good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing? This is the Prophet here. This is a Bowl Mania special show. Also, I'm going to give y'all the weekend fight picks. We'll go ahead and start with that. First, we'll start with the UFC Fight Night tomorrow night. That's going to be on the main event is Dos Santos versus Cowboy Cerrone. Also, you have Nate Diaz versus Michael Johnson. Junior Dos Santos versus Alistair Overeem for UFC Fight Night. My picks are pretty simple, straightforward. Only one upset, really. We're going to take Nate Diaz by decision. We'll also take Alistair Overeem by knockout. And Cowboy Cerrone by decision is what we're going to go with. Boxing. We're going to take Billy Joe Saunders to win by decision over Andy Lee. Nicholas Walters by KO within 8. We're going to take Ortiz over Jennings by unanimous decision. And that is our fight picks for this week coming up. And that's all we're going to do. As far as the fights go, as far as UFC and boxing for the weekend, that's really the big fights for the weekend, so that's what we're going to do. Also, this show, like I said, is the Bowl Mania show. And we're going to start with the New Mexico Bowl. Arizona one. It ain't quite within my betting window, but it's close. Next game is a cold mortal lock against the spread. Ohio will cover against Appalachian State. Bet on it. Appalachian State may win the game outright, but it's going to be close. Ohio may win the game even. The next game we got San Jose State at Georgia State. We're going to take San Jose State. I believe it's pretty self-evident as to why that should be. New Orleans Bowl is Louisiana Tech and Arkansas State. Arkansas State's favored by 1.5. I take Louisiana Tech to win the game straight up. Straight up, I'll take Louisiana Tech to win that game. Tonight, that's all for today. Then you're going to move on to the Miami Beach Bowl. Western Kentucky and South Florida. Western Kentucky's favored by 3.5. I think Western Kentucky covers the spread, wins by double digits. Famous Idaho Bowl. We're going to have Utah State versus Akron. Utah State's favored by 6.5. We're going to I like them to cover, win by double digits as well. And so straight up, handily, I like them to win. Toledo versus Temple at the Boca Raton Bowl. We're going to take Temple straight up, but it's going to be a closer game than what people believe it'll be. Temple impressed me a little against Houston, even though they didn't win. Really it was never really in the game, but they showed me they can play with most of these teams. We got the Poinsettia Bowl next. That's Northern Illinois versus Boise State. Boise State's favored by 9. I like Northern Illinois to cover the spread and win outright. That's right, you heard it here. Northern Illinois to cover the spread and win straight up. GoDaddy Bowl. That's Bowling Green versus Georgia Southern. Now, how does Bowling Green deal with the loss of their coach? They're favored by almost 8 points. I'm going to say Bowling Green covers. So they definitely went straight up. even with, dealing with the loss of a coach. He's moving on to a better job, I believe, at Syracuse, if I'm not mistaken. Some of these lines I'm giving you, these are lines we picked up earlier in the week when we first were supposed to do the show, but it wasn't, had to try to get everybody together, and some of it's being delayed. The release of it's being delayed, but we're getting it out there. Some of it's being done live right now on 1480 AM, the Big Dog, home of all your Georgia Bulldog action. I want to take this chance right now to thank a couple of sponsors. I want to thank Dish Network. I want to thank Gribbles MMA. We also want to thank GoDaddy.com. GoDaddy.com. Alright, so now we'll move on to the Bahamas Bowl. And folks, I'm moving along with this show pretty quick. It's something I've got to get aired out here as fast as possible. We'll do a little bit of talking after. I'm going to take a couple calls. The Bahamas Bowl, Middle Tennessee State and Western Michigan. I have seen lines on this game as high as 6.5 in favor of Western Michigan. I've got Middle Tennessee State winning this game straight up. Winning it straight up. So definitely covering their spread. Hawaii is San Diego State versus Cincinnati. I like San Diego State, even though Cincinnati's favored. The St. Petersburg Bowl is going to be Connecticut versus Marshall. I'm taking Marshall and giving up the 4.5 points. That's right. We're also going to go ahead and tell you the winner of the Sun Bowl is Washington State and Miami. Washington State's minus 1.5. I want to take Washington State to cover and win the game straight up as well. I'm also going to tell you the Heart of Dallas Bowl, Southern Mississippi versus Washington. Probably the biggest upset I've got. Okay, Washington's favored by 9. We're going with Southern Miss to win straight up, so definitely cover the spread. Duke versus Indiana. I'm taking Duke. Duke battled along in the ACC for a little bit this year, and without getting robbed on a call, they may have represented, may have been a ACC championship team or game. They may have played in place of North Carolina. Once they lost that game right there, that the North Carolina game kind of lost some fizzle. Okay. The Independence Bowl, we got Tulsa at Virginia Tech. That's Virginia Tech minus 15.5. I'm going to take Tulsa to cover the spread, Virginia Tech to win straight up. Foster Farms Bowl, Nebraska at UCLA. UCLA is minus 6. I got UCLA to cover the spread and win straight up. The Military Bowls, Pittsburgh at Navy. Navy minus 4.5. I like Navy to cover and win straight up. Quick Lane Bowl, which is one of our sponsors, Quick Lane is. If you need your oil change, make sure you stop by your regular Quick Lane there and get your job done and keep your car on tune. Central Michigan versus Minnesota. Minnesota's given up 7.5 points. That boils down to a competition thing. Central Michigan played a couple of real good teams this year and was in there battling a couple of times against real good teams. So I like them to cover the 6.5, but I like Minnesota to win the game. Armed Forces Bowl. That's Air Force in California. This to me is the lock of the bowls. Lock of the bowls. Right here. California minus 1.5 is what I had whenever I first started looking at the lines. I went ahead and played it myself. I like California to win by double digits. All right. You got the Russell Athletic Bowl. North Carolina versus Baylor. Baylor's got a lot of players going to be out for this game. I don't know how many people know that, but Baylor's favored by 4 points. Bet the house on Carolina, man. Marquise Williams is pissed after what happened, against Clemson. They got robbed out of a decent bowl. going down, having to play Baylor. North Carolina, in my opinion, probably should have been in one of the New Year's Six Bowls. But, that's just my opinion. But who do you knock out? Really, who do you knock out? You can't knock Houston out because of the rules. Yeah, you can't knock Florida State out, probably. They've had to get the same record, right? Most teams have the same record. Of course, your 4 playoff teams. And then you got Notre Dame and Ohio State. I don't see knocking either one of them out. They're not going to remove. Notre Dame would be my pick if you was going to take one out. Them or Oklahoma State, or even Ole Miss per se. That would be the 3. If I had to remove one, that would be one of the 3 I removed. Now, let's get back over here where we was. We also have Nevada at Colorado State. Colorado State minus 3.5. It's the Arizona Bowl. I'm going to take Colorado State to win the game straight up and cover the spread. The Texas Bowl, Texas State versus LSU. LSU minus 7. I like LSU, guys. I really do. I like LSU. Birmingham Bowl, we got Memphis versus Auburn. Auburn minus 2. I like Auburn. I just like the SEC power against a team like Memphis. Next bowl is the Belk Bowl. Charlotte, North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, where this game's played. You got NC State versus Mississippi State. SEC versus the ACC. SEC hasn't done the best in bowl games recently, but I do believe Mississippi State wins this game. Also covers the 7.5. The Music City Bowl, Louisville at Texas A&M. I like Louisville to win the game straight up and definitely cover the 3.5 points. Wisconsin at USC. USC minus 3.5. Well, I got to go with USC right here. I have to. Houston at Florida State in one of the New Year's Six Bowls. The peach, the orange, the cotton, fiesta, rose, and sugar. This is your New Year's Six, and this is where Houston is at Florida State, and Houston earned this bid, no doubt about it. They played fabulous this year, and they've earned this bid, so they deserve to be there. Florida State's minus 11. As high as minus 11 in some places. I take Houston to cover the spread, but Florida State to win the game outright. Clemson and Oklahoma. This hurts my heart to pick Clemson to win this game, but I'm going to. As a diehard Bulldog fan, it hurts my heart. But definitely to win the game straight up, much less cover the spread. They're plus 4. Michigan State at Alabama. Alabama's got a vendetta on their back. They're back. They're the team to beat in the national championship, and I'll go ahead and give you my national championship winner right now. I got Alabama over Clemson, 35-27. Next, you got Northwestern and Tennessee. Tennessee's minus 9.5. Northwestern's got a pretty good record this year, man. Pretty good record, and they play in a tough-ass division. I don't care what you say, but that's a tough conference they're in. But I'm going to take Tennessee to win the game straight up, Northwestern to cover the spread. Florida and Michigan. Michigan minus 4. I like Michigan to win all the way around to cover the spread, and this is actually a game that should set up at Michigan minus 9, so it would be what we consider a 4-star lock. Ohio State and Notre Dame is next. This one right here is what we consider a 6-star lock. Ohio State minus 3.5. Ohio State should be favored by 11 points almost. We're going to take Ohio State over Notre Dame. Stanford and Iowa. Well, Iowa, here you go. A big, heavy dose of Christian McCaffrey coming your way. Coming your way, guys. And I like Stanford to win outright. I like them to cover the 6 points handily out there in the Rose Bowl. It's going to be a bipartisan crowd pretty much. Not bipartisan, my bad. A partisan crowd. It's pretty much going to all be towards Stanford when you go all the way out there to California. Mississippi at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State minus 8.5. Guys, I like Mississippi to cover and win the game straight up. I really do. TaxSlayer.com Bowl. This is Penn State of Georgia, and I ought to be recluse from picking this one because, of course, I'm taking Georgia to cover and win the game. Kansas State at Arkansas. Arkansas minus 12. I like Arkansas to win the game straight up. Kansas State may cover, though. It's a game I would definitely not, I would stay away from if I was a gambler. Oregon versus TCU. TCU minus 1.5. I like TCU all the way around. West Virginia, Arizona State. Arizona State's minus 1.5. In the Cactus Bowl, it's like playing in their backyard. I like Arizona State, and I like them to win big. Okay, I really do, guys. And that is my picks for Capital One Bowl Mania. I need to thank a couple sponsors. The Vent Home Security. That's 1-877-606-6413 if you need some help. I want to thank Foster Farms Chicken. Also want to thank Food Line. And that's going to be all, guys. We ask before we close the show always, if you're going to give back, give to the kids. First and foremost, if you're going to give back, give to the kids. And yes, this was short and simple because I had to do these picks pretty quick. And I've got another show I'm getting ready to start. So glad we got to y'all and glad I got this done, the picks in. And see how we do. There's 40 games there, and I'd like to see how we do. Hope we do okay. I know on the fight game we're going to do great because that's where the hot streak is, and that's what we know. And we'll see y'all later, guys. Thank you.